General quarters, all hands man your battle stations.
Broadcasting live on WNN 1470 AM, 95.3 FM, iHeartRadio, and the World Wide Web. This is Make America Think Again with your Google Blacklisted host, Tom Trento.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, Will Robinson. Danger.
Yeah, I know danger here. I mean, there is no danger here, and we're doing fine. There's no danger here. Now there's no, as I said, there's no danger here on the 23rd of September 2020. Beautiful day. The humidity's going away. I have Susie Gold at my side. Susie Gold.
Good morning. 40 days to Election Day.
40 days?
40 days?
Where were you, Susie Gold, 40 days? Where were you on, what a brain I have, on August 15th?
Oh, gosh. I don't even know where I was yesterday.
August 15th. I mean, last month, the middle of the month. Where were you? She's speechless, Mark.
I'm speechless, too. I have no,
That's rare.
I don't know where I was August 15th. I can
We're
make
suffering
it up.
from Biden disease here. So,
The Biden disease. Well, ironically, before the show started, I did a little math. I counted backwards from today, 40 days.
Right,
It's August 15th.
right.
You started the show unbeknownst to me by saying it's 40 days.
Oh.
So the point of all of
Oh.
this math, 40 days was the middle of last month.
Right.
See how fast that went?
Unbelievable.
40 days from now,
Time
this
goes
thing
so
is
quickly.
over.
Thank
40
God.
days from now,
you know,
this thing,
I'm so for this thing being over.
this
I
thing
am so
is
done with
over.
It. I'm so done with it.
Unbelievable. But as we have said here in WNN 1470, 95.3, so many times, August 3rd isn't the end. It's the beginning. November 3rd. I'm back in August. November 3rd isn't the end. It's actually the beginning of what this country is going to look like. Whether the country continues in the vision, and it's got to be a providential, God-ordained vision for 244 years of a bunch of guys in Philadelphia trying to figure out, with no iPhones, what the best configuration and composition of a group of civilized people living and working together should look like. Now, these weren't idiots. These were philosophers, theologians, scholars. The amount of time we spend looking at the TikTok and Twitter, they're studying Augustine. They're studying Plato. They're studying the Roman Senate. You know, they're learning. They're looking at King George. They're looking at the history of Britain. And they have this panoply. That's a good word.
Oh, that's a good word.
This panoply of information. And they got together, a bunch of them, like 56 signers, I think, of the Declaration of Independence. And they fought and they argued and they said yes and no and maybe and you're crazy and I hate you and I love you. And boom, we get these documents. And people want to change it today, you know? What are we going to do?
Yeah. Here we are. Look at how life has changed. Look at what's at stake this election. That's what this show is all about. This is our mission. Our mission for in this Trento hour is to help our listeners learn about the issues, know what's at stake in this election, and we are setting out to make America think again.
Yay, right there it is, right
Make
there.
America think again, MATA. And we are in a spiritual battle for America. In this show today, we have some great guests as we do every day. Today we have Laura Loomer, who's going to be coming on. We know Laura Loomer
Quick
is...
report from Laura.
Yep, we'll have a quick report. We know that she's going up against Lazy Lois in District 21. We also have Hayden Ludwig. Very, very interesting man. He's going to share some really great information with us about his organization. He's an investigative researcher at Capital Research Center. Very interesting man. What that center does, for those that aren't aware, they examine how foundations and charities and other nonprofits, how they spend their money. And a lot of people give money to organizations. They sound like they have a great name and, you know, they're for peace and love and whatever the title of the organization is. And oftentimes donors are very surprised that where they think their money is going is not actually where it is being spent. So he's going to talk about that. And then we have some other guests that I'll keep it as a surprise.
Okay. Do me a favor before we bring Laura on. I'm messing with my earphone.
Yeah.
For the viewing audience, the listeners don't know what we're doing because they can't see us. The viewers, and I'm messing with this thing because my original one that was over here somewhere, the good one that you're supposed to wear, I'll show
Yeah,
the
that's
folks.
a really.
I'm leading up for you to make a
fancy
plea
one.
for
Yeah.
funds, okay?
You know what? This is wait. Can you just turn for a second? I just want everybody, for those of you that are on video, look at what we have to use. We have to use tape. I mean, this is how we're operating here, and I just want to make
I need a new one of
quick
these. I need a
pitch.
new one of these.
We need funds desperately. We need $200,000 to get us through to the election. Please know that go to theunitedwest.org. There's a nice red button there that says donate. You know what? We have millions and millions of dollars that's being pumped into Florida for the Democrats, for Biden's election, and here we are. We're looking for $200,000 so that we can get through to ensure that Americans, that Floridians think again, understand what's at stake this election, bringing in top speakers from around the country, and we need the funds in order to keep doing what we're doing. We need the funds to keep the lights on, to ensure that we have the right technology and the equipment, and we've got to stay on the air because we are making headway. So know that your monies are being used in the best way possible to make sure that we meet our objectives, we meet our goals, and that the money is well spent in a very good way. And you would be a part of saving America. So please make your donations. Make it today. Go on theunitedwest.org. Go to that little button that says donate. Please do it today. We really need your funds desperately.
And if you're a big donor, out there, you're getting your butt handed to you by your opponents by 100 to 1, easily.
Yeah, I mean that's an important point. We've told everyone for 2 years now, and then on the radio for the past 6-8 months, whatever, that we're mobilizing 1,000,001 evangelical Christians. We may have to up that. You're talking about money. Michael Bloomberg, the adjectives are running through my mind, but I'm trying to be very nice. The former mayor of New York, and now just a hardcore leftist, using his money to implement a socialist agenda in America. I don't know where these people come from. $100 million thrown in the state of Florida alone to defeat President Trump.
100 million.
Another 20 million, and we're going to talk about that today. Another 20 million to pay for tens of thousands of felons who, by Bloomberg's own admission, are predisposed to vote for Joe Biden. If you're a person of wealth, you can contact me directly through TUW at theunitedwest.org. There's donor-directed ways to give large amounts. Some people are nervous about giving $25,000 over the internet. So there's a way of doing that. Contact us. But Michael Bloomberg has flipped the equation, making it more difficult. We've got to mobilize more Christians, which we're in a position to do. And for people of wealth who are listening right now, Joe Biden becomes the president. Say goodbye within 6 months to 30% of your net worth. And I know you're smart people because you made the money in a smart way, but it doesn't matter. There's going to be so many regulations, so many taxes, so many disincentives, so many obstacles to capitalism, notwithstanding the fact that if you're a capitalist trying to function in a city in America, your store is going to be picketed and rioted and all of that. So we need law and order, the rule of law. You know where that comes from, Donald Trump. To protect your own money, invest in us, our campaign, to mobilize the people that are the low-hanging fruit evangelicals to win in the state of Florida, which is so significant. Mark, if Michael Bloomberg heard this and said, all right, you wise guys, you want to have a little race for 40 days? I'm going to write you a $200,000 check. Right. Would you take Michael Bloomberg's $200,000?
Yeah. Right now, yeah. Okay, I would, because it's got to come from somewhere. I wish I was a liberal. The Brinks trucks would be lining up at our place right now. I'm telling you. but you donors on the right, and it's not just me I'm talking about. I'm talking about across the board because I'm hearing this from a lot of people. Okay, not just us. You guys are sitting on your butts, not doing anything. I'm telling you, you're sitting on your butts, not doing anything, and you're going to get it handed to you because Florida is the swing state. Right. And I'm not talking about just the United West. You guys need to be giving it to us and other organizations too.
On the ground organizations.
Exactly.
We have done massive research on the amount of money that Republican philanthropic people give to political campaigns. And you're going to hear from our guest how much of it is completely wasted on nonsensical television ads that are repetitious, and the media buyers, the consultants, the advisors pocket huge sums of money to throw this away on television ads. So our admonition to Republican donors, go ahead, give money to candidates, sure, but cut a little piece, cut 20% out, head it our way. It's tax deductible. We're running an educational campaign, and we're on the ground mobilizing people to get out, get registered, and vote. That's where this battle is going to be won.
And here's the problem too, and like I said, I'm hearing this from multiple people, is that people are saying, well, I've given to the Donald Trump campaign. I go, that's good, but you need to slice out for all the other organizations who are on the ground, and plus like the individual candidates throughout the area. And it's not just Donald Trump that's going to get this thing done. Quit relying upon him and him only. That's going to backfire and boomerang in your face.
But there is a candidate that I think is going to be up next that people should support, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're going to introduce Laura Loomer. And Laura, I believe you're on. All right, Laura, you with us?
She's not with us yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay. Laura will be on shortly, and we are so proud of Laura. She has just made incredible headway to win her election in the 21st District. Here's someone who is the most censored woman in America, or is it the world? She has been censored from all of social media. Even she can't even open a bank account. She's been thrown out of Uber. Just about not every platform, and Twitter,
PayPal,
and Facebook,
Twitter,
and
Facebook,
yeah, you name it,
Instagram,
on and on. And look, how do candidates now reach their constituents? Is a lot through online, through the internet, and yet she has a great team of volunteers. They go door to door. She's at every event. She works 24/7, which really shows her work ethic. It shows her determination, not for herself, not for Laura Loomer, but it's for you. It's for the constituents to work hard to ensure that she remains that she is a voice in Congress and can come out against AOC and Tlaib and all those opposing voices. She's a voice of reason, and also she understands what it is that needs to be done in Congress so that we maintain our freedoms. And she backs the blue, and she's your voice. So we need to make sure that we support Laura Loomer in all of her efforts. And I believe she's going to be on.
She's not. We're not backing a politician. Mm-hmm. She's a friend for many years. Mm-hmm. She is an investigative journalist. She has a degree in journalism from Barry University, a very prestigious women's Catholic college. She's
valedictorian.
What?
She's valedictorian.
She was, yes and no.
Yeah.
She was a valedictorian, the highest honor. Yeah. Usually you deliver the speech at your commencement, at your graduation ceremony, but she was banned from her own graduation ceremony. They wouldn't let her attend because she exposed raw hypocrisy in the Catholic University, siding with jihadis on 9/11, Muslim jihadis. And that sort of launched her investigative journalistic career with James O'Keefe, and she's done amazing confrontational and undercover work. So we saw her early on. Then she started coming to Israel with us. She's a hardcore supporter of Israel's right to be free. And through a friendship, and she was quite happy being an investigative journalist. She was doing tremendous work, and she was generating a lot of money. People all over the world were contributing to her. And she had campaigns going on against Pelosi here, there, the other thing. And then big tech said, let's shut this lady up. They cut out all her ways to communicate to people. The donations went down, and she had to make a decision. And she decided, you know what? I'm going to run for office and then go after the big tech companies who are censoring conservative voices. And that's where she is today. And she won the Republican nomination to be Donald Trump's congresswoman. I mean, that is simply
she's remarkable.
karma,
a remarkable young lady, much older than her years. So
she's 27 years old. If when elected, she's not here yet. All right. Well, then we're going to have to put her because we got another guest coming up here. When elected, Laura will be the youngest woman. She'll beat Sandy Cortez. Sandy Cortez was the youngest elected to the U.S. Congress, or not the youngest elected, the youngest in serving. Now, Laura will be the youngest serving member of the United States Congress when she's elected on November 3rd. So,
yep.
well, Laura is leading a very fast-paced life. When you're a candidate, the phone rings, you have to do this, you do an interview here, there. We have her scheduled for a couple times a week for a quick report. So she's probably off fighting somebody somewhere. So we're going to move on. We have Hayden coming up in a little bit. Let me know when Hayden Ludwig is here. I'll give you a little background on Hayden so we can get right into it. Young guy, graduated from George Mason University in the Washington area, very prestigious school. What happens, there's a number of schools, Georgetown, George Mason, in the D.C. area. And if you want to be in public policy work, if you want to work in Washington, or you want to be a foreign service officer to work overseas representing the government, you go to one of these schools. I mean, if you want to be an engineer, you go to MIT. You know, if you want to be a truck driver, you go to the schools I went to early on. So he went to this school and became a researcher for a group I know for a long time, Capital Research Center in Washington, D.C. If you're just tuning in at 9:20 in the morning, I'm here with Susie Gold.
Good morning.
And Tom Trento, and we got Jay Mark in the control room. We have Mary up north. We are the United West, our show, the Trento Hour, but our branding, what we're branding for the next 40 days, we've been doing it for 2 years, spiritual battle for America. When you deconstruct all the insanity going on, when you deconstruct the political philosophy of the two parties, you will see distinctive positions on both sides. And when you do the proper analytical work, you will see there's a theological component to this. So thus our name for our campaign, Spiritual Battle for America. And we truly are in that. Thus the desire to mobilize 1,000,001 evangelical Christians in the state of Florida to vote intelligently on November 3rd, win the most important battleground state, our state right here, Florida. And we have with us right now Hayden Ludwig. Hayden, welcome to our show. This is Tom Trento. How you doing?
Thanks, Tom. It's good to be with you.
You're with an organization I know for a long time, Capital Research Center in D.C., but we have a different kind of bond. You want to hear about our bond?
Yeah, please.
I think you were born in a little German city called Stuttgart.
I exaggerate. It's actually my grandmother, but I keep it as a point of family pride.
Okay, well, that's good. I am I'm a former race car driver, and I've raced those cars that came from Stuttgart, the Porsches.
Oh, yeah, terrific.
And that's where Porsches are made.
Oh, didn't know.
And on my next trip to Europe, a couple of years back, I went to, I'm a Ferrari guy too. I mean, that's Italian, you know. But my next trip is to the Porsche Museum in Stuttgart.
I had a great uncle who worked on Porsches and BMW motors back in I think the 70s. So I'm sure he would love that.
Yeah, absolutely. So from automobiles to the insanity of this group called the Lincoln Project. Tell us a little bit about your work at Capital Research, and then let's get right into Lincoln Project because I got a little surprise for you.
Let's do it. Yeah. So my name is Hayden Ludwig. I'm an investigative researcher at the Capital Research Center in Washington, D.C. but we are America's investigative think tank. So we basically follow all the money trails from the big foundations and the big mega donors like George Soros or Tom Steyer, all the way to the activist groups that they support. In this case, groups that pretend to be conservative but are actually left-wing. The Lincoln Project I stumbled across, like everybody else, watching their ads, which have mostly blanketed the Washington, D.C. area. I have to chuckle at that. They seem to know their audience. But the Lincoln Project we managed to find also because we traced Bill Kristol and what he's been doing. I've spent some time studying a group that I like to call the eco-right. And they're basically environmental conservatives, if you will. I put scare quotes on that because really what they are so-called conservatives who sold out to the left, and they take left-wing money to push left-wing global warming theory. And if you find all these groups that are never Trumpers that attack the president all the time as not being conservative enough, you find that they're basically the same set of people, same set of former Republican operatives as are found in the Lincoln Project.
All right, now you guys produced a little video that was an expose of the Lincoln Project. And the name sounds very innocuous, actually very positive. Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln. This has to be something good. Well,
right,
we're gonna play. We're gonna queue up. Mark, let me know when we can play. We're gonna play this 2-minute video. Set it up for us. Then we'll discuss it, and then I'll tell you what we're doing. Set up this. Yes, go ahead. Set it up.
Yeah, the video is just a synopsis of all of our findings about who the Lincoln Project is composed of, all of the Republican operatives like Rick Wilson, who mocked everybody on the mainstream media just a few months ago for being hicks, basically. It consists of all of the funding that's come into the Lincoln Project. I should point out the Lincoln Project is a super PAC. So what that means is it exists to fund what they call independent expenditures. It's basically television and radio ads. And they're all trying to pressure Republicans like Senator Susan Collins, Senator Murkowski, that they think that they can flip to basically oppose the president. They supported his impeachment. They're trying to push for the president and the Republican Party to not fill the seat formerly occupied by Justice Ginsburg in the Supreme Court. Basically, they're pushing the Democratic Party's agenda.
And Hayden, when did the Lincoln Project start? What is the start date of this as an organization?
It's right after Trump took office. So all of these never Trump political figures, Bill Kristol's the most famous one, so I use his name a lot. But a lot of different folks who exist in the Beltway, they're very much swamp people, I like to say. They basically got together to come up with this plan to derail the Trump presidency. And do so by trying to convince Republicans that he's basically not a conservative and they're more conservative than he is. They came up with the title Lincoln Project eventually, but this group was meeting well before that actual project was announced. We've managed to track that these groups have all gotten funding from the left. There's a separate organization I haven't mentioned the name of, but Kristol also runs it. It's called Defending Democracy Together, DDT. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And nobody thought that one was good, but
they didn't think that through, that's for sure.
They run a group called Republicans for the Rule of Law. And if you were paying attention back during the impeachment trial, there were all sorts of ads being run saying we need to impeach the president, he's broken the law, he's a Russian asset, yada, yada. And they were mostly paid for by Republicans for the Rule of Law. I have managed to trace funding to groups like Pierre Omidyar, who's the ultra-liberal co-founder of eBay, who, if you look at the things that he funds, I mean, no conservative would consider him remotely even moderate. Nevertheless, these are the people, Kristol and his friends, want to convince you that they're more conservative than you are, than the president.
Wow. Now, before we show the 2-minute video here, all right, so you got a bunch of these guys. They got a history of being strategic individuals who understand how Washington works, and they create phenomenal media and iconography. But they also raised a little bit of money in the past few months. How much did they raise just in a 2 or 3 month period?
Oh, it's tens of millions of dollars. I mean, it's huge. And we've managed to trace all this stuff from big name Democrats in Hollywood and Manhattan and Washington. So you'd be really hard pressed to find conservative funding for this group that pretends to be conservative to push things that are very liberal, their policies that are ultra liberal. It's incredible.
I think it's at $20 million, something like that. They had they had on their war chest?
Yeah, that sounds right to me. They update it regularly, but the point being, this isn't money. They're well funded, is I guess the bottom line. But this isn't money that's coming from Republican donors. It's not coming from conservatives. As far as we can tell, it's coming from professional liberal activists and big time Democratic donors.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 28 after. We have Hayden Ludwig with us, and we're taking a look at the innocuous sounding Lincoln Project, which is really a front group for a leftist organization that hates Donald Trump. Take a look at this 2-minute video that Capital Research Center put together exposing the Lincoln Project.
You may recently have seen some ads like this.
I am starting to regret my vote for Trump.
Or this.
This is the story of a coward and a commander. The coward Trump dodged the draft. Jim Mattis led American troops for 40 years.
Or this.
Trump is weak. Trump is not conservative, but he's the most easily fixable problem in America today. A vote for Joe Biden in this election is a vote for our Constitution.
They're all from the same source.
The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The Lincoln Project is a super PAC founded by 8 former Republicans and never Trump political operatives opposed to the president's reelection.
What happened?
It was on loop.
Oh.
I got a question for
Well,
you.
it was a 2-minute video.
Yeah, that was it. That was 2 minutes. That was it.
Oh, okay.
Hey, and I got a question for you, real quick.
Sure.
There was a series called The Americans out there.
Yeah, I love it.
And I'm going to reference a character in that series, and it's basically, for those who don't know, Americans was 2 Soviet spies come over and they implant themselves in America, and they became deep undercover operatives for the United States. Well, one of the characters in the series, and it's a very well done series, you should watch it, was a reporter who posed as a ultra conservative person in the media, and was secretly a communist Russian spy. Now, I'm not going to go as far as say that these people who put on the Lincoln Project are communist Russian spies, but is that same type of scenario, do you see it playing out in real life?
Well, I guess in the sense of they could be spies for the other side of the aisle in this country, right? I mean,
Right.
the parallel is still there. I think there's something to it. I mean, the main point of the Lincoln Project is to basically pump out TV ads. And over the last, I think it's 3 or 4 months, they've pumped out about 66 ads. That's my latest count. It's probably higher now with Ginsburg's seat being opened up. And so you have a group that basically exists to do nothing but pummel Republicans and try and pressure what they think are weak Republicans, like Senator Collins or Murkowski, into basically siding with the Democrats on things like impeachment or I guess now at this point, the big thing is not filling the vacant Supreme Court seat. But the funny thing to me is if you look at some of their ads, there was one targeting, I believe it was Senator Murkowski. And what was so funny about it is they talk about her being very weak, that she's a Trump stooge at one point, they call her. And what's hysterical is anybody who pays attention to Republican Party politics realizes he's probably the leading Trump skeptic in all of Congress on the Republican Party side. But nevertheless, they show a protester holding up one of these signs, these pre-printed glossy signs like this. And you can see pretty clearly blacked out the title of who printed the sign, right? The logo on there. Well, I looked it up. It's a left-wing organization. They're using stock footage from lefty groups, liberal groups that are far left that would never support even Senator Collins or Murkowski are pretty moderate. They wouldn't even support these people. But this is how they prove to you that Trump's not a conservative or that you need to vote for Biden or whatever, right? I mean, it's kind of a joke. So, I mean, I don't know if I can say that they're spies, but I can say that they've got an axe to grind. And it's I don't think it's anything Abraham Lincoln would.
No, exactly. Are you by Hayden? Are you by a computer? We know we only have a couple minutes left with you. Are you by a computer?
I am. Yeah.
Go to Twitter. I want to show you something.
Sure. If you'll excuse me, I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah. And
A visitor from Israel's on.
all right. Go to Twitter and /Lincon, LINCON project. Tell me what you see there.
So Lincoln with no L.
Right. Lincoln, C-O-N, a con job.
I see no tweets, but I see the Lincoln project.
You see who's in the little picture there?
You're gonna have to tell me who that is. My knowledge doesn't go deep enough.
That's George Conway, a little caricature of.
Oh my God, you're right. It is Conway. Kelly
Yep.
Anderson.
Yeah,
That's hysterical.
That is our Twitter site, one of our Twitter sites. We created the Lincoln Project about 2 or 3 months ago. We've been holding on to it, and when we saw your video, we said, now's the time to launch this thing using your video.
That's terrific.
To launch this. And basically, we're trolling the Lincoln Project and Scaramucci, who's with them too. You know, I mean, he's a fellow traveler.
Mm-hmm.
And we have taken some of their videos and basically taken the audio track out, put our audio track in. This is under the free use doctrines in the United States, where you can do this under the doctrine of satire and parody. The parody laws allow a tremendous amount of freedom. So we are just going to smack these guys all over the place. Whatever they put out, throw it right back in their face. We never did anything. We posted the site. We got 38 followers. We never did anything, you know? So 38 true Americans right there don't even know what we're doing. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with this for sure. So thank you for doing the first video that we'll use to put out.
Well, thank
you.
Also,
we're going to have you back because we are in a battle down here in Florida. And you know, Bloomberg just threw in $100 million.
Sure do.
And we want to trace the money. We've done a lot of tracing. Andrew Gillum, do you remember he ran for governor here? And he's part of the Rockwood Institute. I don't know if you've ever gotten into the Rockwood Institute in Oakland.
No, that's a group that's not familiar. I know a lot of groups, but that's not one of them.
If you're a researcher, you're going to love that. Go look it up, the Rockwood Institute in Oakland. They've trained Van Jones. They've trained Gillum. They've trained all the Marxists that are out there, some of the Black Lives Matter leaders. And we're going to need you to help us trace the money so that we can shock the Floridians into seeing who's paying to change Florida to a flip Florida blue, as Gillum wanted to do. And he's coming back.
And we'll give you one other name real quick. Stephen Phillips. You know who Stephen Phillips is? You know that one?
Yeah, I do know that name. Yep.
He's the one who found, for those out there who do not know this, he's the one who found Barack Obama and brought him to national prominence, wrote the book Brown is the New White. And he's the one that's pumping out, you know, he's the big supporter of Kamala, Stacey Abrams, Andrew Gillum, and the Rockwood Institute, and this whole, and he's a Marxist socialist. You know how I know that? Because on his pamphlet, on his distribution book, he says, this is a Marxist socialist organization. Okay. That's how you know this. That's good. And he's asked later, are you still, oh yeah, I was trained Marxist. He's the one of the primary funders behind Black Lives Matter. Yeah. And if you think of Stephen Phillips as not the big donor, but the one who directs all the big donors' money, he's the traffic cop that sends the money everywhere. But anyway,
but he happened to trade in his drab green comrade clothes and his Stanford days when he realized he could marry a Jewish woman whose father was a billionaire, and start a fund. So he puts on, an Armani suit, and he's basically a suit-wearing Marxist. And
he's also head of Power Pack Plus, who's the primary supporter of Kamala.
Yep.
So I think they call them champagne-sipping socialists, right?
Yeah, that one works absolutely. Hey, so Hayden, we're going to have you back for sure. We appreciate all the work you guys are doing. If you go to our website, you're going to get all kinds of warnings that it's a dangerous site.
Blow up your computer, yeah.
Our website's being attacked. They've shut our emails down, our PayPal. I mean, we're getting blasted right now. We have our terrestrial radio, which is going out all over South Florida and on iHeart worldwide. They can't shut that down. So our voice will be here, and we appreciate the work you're doing. And keep up the good work, all right, Hayden?
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, absolutely.
Thank you, Hayden.
All right, at 9:37 in the morning, Tom Trento, Susie Gold, Mark Mary, everybody else. What's that?
He's good. I like him.
He's a good guy, great guy.
We got to have him on again.
Doing great work. the Washington has these think tanks, and they go looking for these guys. They look for them in school and internships who just are brilliant minds. And to read, you saw the books behind them. I mean, you've got to read all those books. But now all those books are on your iPhone. You don't even need books anymore. I got a gigantic
Still nice
library.
to turn pages.
All right, 9:38 in the morning. Tom Trento, Susie Gold, WNN 1470 95.3, iHeartRadio worldwide. Tell your friends about our show. We're following our great friends, Steve Kane, Brian Craig, do a wonderful job, 6 to 9, picking up that audience and then making America think again. What's coming up next, Susie Gold?
We have a special guest, actually, who's coming on. Those of you who are listening, I'm sure are aware that Bloomberg, and just as Tom had mentioned earlier, he pumped in $20 million to pay off debts of felons so that they can vote. And we actually have a felon who owed lots of money that will be paid off. And he's a guest, and I believe his name is Bubba. Bubba, yeah. So I want to welcome Bubba on. Welcome, Bubba.
Hey, thanks for having me on the show today.
So happy to have you with us. So tell us, what do you think about, that your debts are paid off? And tell me about, how that feels for you, that now you'll be a free man and you can vote.
I can't tell you how happy I am about this. I was going to apply for some of that Ron James money because he was doing the same thing. But then I heard Michael Bloomberg going to put a lot more money into it. And so now I'm going to get to vote. Bloomberg going to pay all my debts to society. Well, at least the financial part anyways, because I done served my time. And now I'm going to get to vote on November 3rd.
Isn't that great? Fantastic. So tell me, if you don't mind letting us know, who are you going to be voting
He's
for?
He's going to vote for Biden, of course. That's why Bloomberg's paying the money.
Is that so, Bubba? You going to vote for Biden?
Hell no! I'll vote for Donald J. Trump.
And tell us why you're going to vote for Donald J. Trump.
I don't want no socialism. I left that in prison. That's like living in a gulag in a communist country or something. Y'all dress the same, eat the same, wake up the same time. I like me some capitalism.
We have a smart ex-felon here.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Bubba, we love you, Bubba. We're so happy you're free and you are making America think again.
Yeah, I had a lot of time to think when I was playing the poker.
So, Bubba, you did your 8 or 9 years, whatever it was, and you have been rehabilitated. You served your time. You didn't quite have the money to pay all the money you stole from all those people or all the fines and all of that. But this guy from New York, do you know who Michael Bloomberg is?
I believe he's that Yankee mayor from New York City. I believe he done tried to run for president for a few minutes.
That's right. You're right. You know your benefactor. But, there's a thing in prison. A lot of people put their time in and their physical body is rehabilitated. You're still smoking, I see there, Bubba. They let you smoke in prison?
Well, they don't let you, but there's ways.
Your physical body can get rehabilitated, and you pay your fines, or somebody else pays your fines, you do your time, and you're out and you vote. And Michael Bloomberg, that Yankee guy who was the mayor in New York, he said, the people I'm paying all this money for, they are predisposed to vote for Biden. But it seems that your brain is still okay, right, Bubba?
It seems to be working all right.
Your brain seems to be rehabilitated. And you're saying, why do I want to follow Biden and go back in that direction when Donald Trump can? What do you see in Donald Trump as a president that makes you drawn to him?
Well, for one thing, he's honest. And there ain't been an honest man in Washington, D.C. in about 100 years.
All right, honesty. We'll put that down.
That's a
good check, yeah.
He talks to you straight. You might not like what he says, but he's honest about it. Then you got Joe Biden. You talk about a brain working and not working. His brain ain't even working. He can't even put two sentences together in a row, and we supposed to vote him president. And you got all them socialists and commies that gonna really be running the administration for him. No, thank you.
Well, I'm a little shocked. You know, we have a Florida felon who is a benefactor, has stepped in and given him an opportunity to vote on November 3rd. And he's voting for Donald Trump. I mean, what is going on in the world today? So
now let me tell you something. If Biden was to say, or I'm sorry, if Bloomberg was to say you had to vote for Biden to get the money, that there'd certainly be criminal, wouldn't it? That'd be like buying votes.
That's a quid pro quo.
that's a good question, Bubba. That's a good question.
Speaking of the quid pro quo, this done come out maybe after y'all started your show, but the Senate done come out with a report on his son Hunter. He's dirty.
Yeah.
He might go to the same prison I done went to.
All right. Breaking news from Bubba. Breaking news from Bubba. We appreciate all of that, Bubba. And hang with us. You can take Bubba off the air. Okay. We're going to talk for a minute. And then we're going to Israel. We're going to go to Israel because we got Damon Rosen on hold. We got a report coming in from
great guests
Damon.
today.
Great. Bubba, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank y'all for having me on.
All right, God bless you, Bubba. Unbelievable,
Isn't that great?
That sounds like kind of a backfire strategy for old Bloomberg there.
Yeah, so Bloomberg's assuming that all those felons are going to vote for Biden.
Well, if you think about it, you know, I did a degree in law enforcement, criminal justice, and we did a lot of studying on whether or not rehabilitation works, particularly with the death penalty, because there's always people arguing, well, rehabilitation doesn't work. Well, if you have the death penalty, it certainly works. You know, they're not there anymore. So, but there's a lot of debate on rehabilitation, and we've seen in the prison system. I mean, the black Muslims have made this an art form. 20% of black men are converted to Islam in the prison. Then they become hardcore anti-American activists, basically. But there's also, I went to Moody Bible Institute in Chicago. When I was there, Chuck Colson, who went to prison working with Nixon as the hatchet man for Nixon, in prison, he got saved. He became a born-again Christian. And he wanted to get a grounding in the Bible, came to Moody and was mentored by the leadership at Moody, and then started Prison Fellowship, massive Christian outreach to prisoners, where not only is your body and your physically and psychologically rehabilitated, but your spirit and your brain is rehabilitated to think biblically, think in the lines of how God would think. That's true rehabilitation. I can't imagine someone who has their mind rehabilitated properly voting for Joe Biden, even though they got money from that side of the equation. And Bubba illustrates that beautifully. Man, he's a good guy, Bubba.
Yeah. So I hope these felons from Florida were touched by proselytizers and evangelical Christians and really pay their debt to society and come out better people. So let's pray for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to
Bubba like a point of donation funding to fund all the people in Florida to vote intelligently by paying all their campaign debts and everything, all their felon debts and everything like that. Let's make Bubba the head of it for the Republicans.
Yeah, right, for the Republican Party. You just need a big donor now to pony up $20-30 million. I'm getting text here from some people from the South. I'm offended that Bubba has a Southern accent. Well, how could you be offended that a Southerner has a Southern accent? He's a Southerner. What do you want? Let's go to Israel right now. Let's get check in with Damon Rosen, our correspondent in Israel. He's supposed to be here, Damon, but he got hung up in the Wuhan shutdown and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, Damon Rosen, and if you're watching, you can. If you're watching.
Is this Bubba's brother?
Oh, here we go.
Is
Hi,
it,
Damon.
Damon, are you Bubba's twin brother?
You look familiar.
You look familiar.
I don't know. I have no idea. I didn't get to see Bubba.
He was dressed just like you. He had glasses like you.
How did that happen?
He looked kind of like you.
I thought Bubba was just going to be a call-in. I didn't know Bubba had video.
He wasn't supposed to, but we didn't get that message to the control room. But it actually worked better. It actually worked better because your mannerisms were very Bubba-like. Ladies and gentlemen, Damon Rosen, our own Bubba. Give him a hand.
Hey, Damon.
For those of you who have followed our work at 9:49 in the morning, Damon, when he was in the studio, did about 20 different characters, and the Southern guy was one of them. You actually lived in the South, didn't you, Damon?
Yeah. Georgia, 5 years. Alabama, 2 years.
Oh, wow. He really qualified.
You were Jewish redneck, man.
Jewish redneck. Redneck Jew, man.
Yes, he was. He does a whole host of voices. And what we wanted to do today was to satirically, we like satire.
Yeah, we do.
So do those.
Sorry,
so do
I
those.
didn't come-
That's all right. So do those jihadis on the Islam side. They just love satire. It's in their book how much they love satire, that they chop your head off if you're satirical. Well, we find that a little bit of humor can make a very important moral point, political point. And the fact that Bloomberg is throwing all this money to pay for the restitution, how much money they owe back to those they victimized, and the fines, the state's punishment for stealing or hurting property, destroying people, destroying property. Bloomberg paid for it. We're making the point that if there's true rehabilitation of the individual, why in the world would they vote for Joe Biden, whose policies will perpetuate and continue a disrespect for law and order? And if you've done your time, if you've been in prison and been rehabilitated, you ought to be a major proponent of law and order. That's the whole purpose for what we just did, this little bit with Damon, who did a great job.
No, you're absolutely.
Yeah, I think we have an internet issue here.
We lost you. Bubba, they're going after you, Bubba. I got a text here. Impersonation is the most sincere form of flattery. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah.
What you see, I happen to know people that have served time, and those that convert to Islam tend to come out conservative. They're definitely not liberals. Because even within the prison system, there's black capitalism. You know, there's black market capitalism within the prison systems. Those guys are capitalists. They're not communists. And like you said, they're not looking to go back to jail or back to prison and take up the lawless way of the new left, the new Democrats, the left. It makes absolutely no sense to assume that those people are going to vote Democrat. And they're doing it because they're racists. Okay? Bloomberg is a racist. He's suppositioning that everyone is going to vote Democrat because of the race of most convicts.
There seems to be some information that Bloomberg has designated the money to go to blacks and Hispanics first, which then his comment follows, which was these are the folks predisposed to vote for Biden. I know Congressman Matt Gaetz was on Hannity last night, and he wants to launch an investigation in the state of Florida to see whether or not any campaign laws are being violated or any, pay to play to vote laws are being violated. He cited a couple of statutes. I don't think so. It'd be interesting, and the Attorney General Moody may get involved because he's donating to a nonprofit. Bloomberg is, and Bloomberg could have any political position he wants. He could say, I want this money to do A, B, and C. The organization then has the obligation to follow the campaign laws. And if they say, we don't tell anybody how to vote, we don't tell anybody, it's a very low bar to not violate the campaign laws or paying for voting. Very low bar. So we'll see where it goes. Everybody knows what's going on. We know he's buying the votes, and we know he hates. We know that, but proving something in a court of law and knowing it are two different things. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Your closing thoughts, Susie, before I close
I mean, it'll be interesting to watch and see how this all unfolds. But I do think that we made an interesting point, which is that there's no guarantee that these felons are going to vote one way or the other. And it's interesting to hear from Damon's perspective about those that are in prison, and that there is a system within the prison that is more capitalistic than it is socialism. So it's an interesting perspective.
Subsystem.
And you know what? This really speaks volumes about the Democrat Party, and I think they're worried that they have to stoop this low to, really play games with mail-in votes, and now with paying for the debt of felons, debt to society. So they think that they're going to vote one particular way, So I mean, to me, it's really dirty pool. These are real lowlifes that are playing games with our election system. I just pray for the honesty. I pray that this should be a fair election. I think most of all, we're doing everything that we can here on the Tom Trento Hour to make sure that people understand the issues and that we could do our part. Everybody out there that's listening, you all need to do your part. Talk to your neighbors. Make sure that anybody that is not registered to vote, that they go out and register first, and make sure that they know the issues that are at stake here. We need a grassroots effort now more than ever, because we're really up against a battle, and some of those that are in the battle against us are really playing dirty pool. They're just they're really lowlifes, and they're going to do everything to get Biden in there.
No, they're extremely nervous. That's why they know the numbers that are coming out aren't true. They know Trump's surging like crazy. But I want to go on the record for us as observant Christians and Jews. We're not opposed to felons being rehabilitated or even coming back in the system. Florida has a clemency board. It's meeting today, actually, with the governor. And there was a process in place. This amendment in 2018 was basically everyone got tricked. A lot of people got tricked on it. And there was a process. This was a political ploy to defeat Donald Trump in 2020. And these poor men and women, there's women there too, who have been incarcerated, and many times that changes their lives. They're being used as political pawns by billionaires in a hate fest against a guy who's standing for the Judeo-Christian principles in the world. That's what we're opposed to, and that's what we're fighting. We certainly stand with people who have paid their dues to society.
They paid their debt to society, absolutely. And when they come out, they should be given every chance that everybody else has. They paid their debt to society.
And not be used by these idiots like Bloomberg,
used.
the midget idiot. All right. Hey, Bubba, we thank you. Damon, we thank you. We're signing off now. Tom Trento for all of us here. Tomorrow we got another great show coming up. Stay tuned. Tell your friends all about what we're doing. Vote on November 3rd.
And vote wisely. And donate to UnitedWest.org.
That's a wisely.